you start to wonder, you start to wonder when immigration comes in and starts to change the nature of neighborhoods, when they bring in Somalis and they put them in the middle of, Michigan or something like this. So, a town, you start to wonder, do these people hate us? Do they hate what we are? Do they hate themselves? Do they hate everything that the West, the West has given them everything, every single thing, everywhere, anywhere on earth where a man walks free, it's because of America. If it wasn't killing off the Nazis, it was destroying the Soviet Union. And they always say, well, it was Gorbachev. It wasn't Gorbachev. Gorbachev did everything he could to keep the Soviet Union alive. They are lying about that. It was Reagan. It was the Pope. It was the West. It was Maggie Thatcher. It was the West that brought the Soviet Union down. Every single human being who walks in political freedom does so either because we freed them or we protect their freedom or we keep them free. Why do they, they just hate, over on the Federalist, really good site. I like the Federalist. The editor, Ben Dominic, wrote a piece called Dear America, Your News Media Absolutely Hates You. And he's referencing back to the way during the Olympics they touted North Korea. Let me just read just a little piece of this. The American media, and the media and the left are the same thing. There's no space between the media and the left at all. The American media, time and again, illustrates its utter hatred for the nation and its people in newspapers and on television. Having judged the American project kaput after the election of Donald Trump, they are now stooping to the level of defending the North Koreans, perhaps the most brutal and heinous regime in the world today, if it's not Iran, which Obama also helped. Thanks to some side eye from its minister of propaganda, the sister of Kim Jong-un, that the headlines, if the headlines are to be believed, North Korea heading for diplomacy gold medal at Olympics. That's from the Reuters. That's the story of the moment that American media want to tell about this moment. I wish this was an exaggeration, he says. Witness this story from CNN today with its dripping credulousness in attacking Mike Pence, with a story sourced entirely to a diplomatic source close to the North Korean regime who says Pence, quote, degraded the image of the United States as a superpower by meeting with North Korean defectors along with Otto Warmbier's father and by speaking strongly against North Korea on multiple occasions. Let's play this piece of CNN. This is CNN covering the Olympics. I know we covered this with Knowles on Monday, but it's just to remind you for a minute, the way they played this, Pence and the sister of Kim Jong-un were sitting in the same booth, and they're going to mention the fact that Pence had her moved. She was going to sit right behind him. And they probably didn't want her to put one of those poisoned handkerchiefs with which they killed her brother. They didn't want him to put one of those poisoned handkerchiefs, so he had her moved. But just listen to the way CNN covered this.
Vice President Pence sitting just feet away from Kim Jong-un's sister for the Olympic opening ceremonies. No handshake, no talk, in a diplomatic deep freeze. CNN's Will Ripley joins me now live from Pyeongchang, South Korea. Will, no interactions whatsoever. What might this mean?
Well, clearly this was an attempt by the United States and the vice president not to give any more legitimacy to the North Korean regime than the mere fact that they were sitting so closely together already did. So the vice president actually switched seats to sit farther away from Kim Yo-jong and Kim Yong-nam. Kim Yo-jong, the sister of the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and Kim Yong-jong, the ceremonial head of state. There was no handshaking whatsoever. When the unified Korean delegation came in March, Vice President Pence notably stayed sitting. He did not stand up. He did not cheer. And again, this is certainly a propaganda win, nonetheless, for North Korea to have these images showing two top-level officials sitting with South Korea's President Moon Jae-in and the vice president just a short distance away.
So to whom was this a PR victory? I mean, to me, when you're insulting Pence for bringing the victims of the North Korean regime to the place, maybe that's a PR victory. Why isn't that by the way, her real title is she's the Minister of Propaganda and Agitation. So that's what they do in these tyrannical countries. But Pence has just been a huge target. Obviously, he was the administration's face at the Olympics, but they went after him like crazy. And there's this one figure skater, Adam Rippon, is that how he pronounced his name? Excellent figure skater, and he's gay, which, like, big surprise. You know, the old joke about what's the hardest thing about figure skating? The hardest thing about figure skating is telling your father you're gay. So, so he comes out and he's been nothing but hammer Pence. And it's all, you know, oh, Pence, you know, wants to convert gay people and I'm not talking to Pence and I'm not going to the White House and I won't shake his hand. And suddenly, because, you know, as Instapundit says, go woke, go broke, you know, suddenly probably he's getting some feedback that maybe this isn't going so well. Suddenly he turns up and I don't want to talk about Mike Pence. This isn't about Mike Pence. Here he is.
I have no problem talking about, you know, what I've said because I stand by it. But I think right now the Olympics are about Olympic competition and the athletes involved. I don't want to distract from their Olympic experience, and I don't want my Olympic experience to be about Mike Pence. You know, I want it to be about my amazing skating and being America's sweetheart.
Yeah, well, too late, Dreamboat. You know, it's like you start. It's like they start it, but they can't finish it. But the thing with Pence, and I really like Mike Pence. I was in his office when I was in Washington. He wasn't there, but I got a tour of his ceremonial office. It was really cool because he has this desk that was gotten by Teddy Roosevelt, this huge desk. And there's a tradition where it went finally to the vice presidents, but everybody who uses it signs the drawer. So you open up the drawer, and like Eisenhower signed it, and you know, all the vice presidents. Very, very cool. And I told the guy who works with Pence, he's kind of Pence's aide, I said, I'm a big fan of Pence. And he was very moved by that. You can see he really loved his boss. And I always shorten his name to Mensch. You know, it's just because I think he's a good guy. But when you see the kind of attacks, they're always the same. They're always the religion. I mean, I saw this clip from The View where these harpies went after him for his religion. This is cut number 3. Just play this.
Jesus tells Mike Pence things to say.
When was she around Mike Pence, though?
Well, obviously she was around him because she knows more, a lot more than I think that we all know about Mike Pence. But what I do know about Mike Pence is I went to law school in Indiana. He is a hated figure there, actually. He's not very popular at all. And I think when you have a Mike Pence that now sort of puts this religious veneer on things and calls people values voters, I think we're in a dangerous situation. Look, I'm Catholic, I'm a faithful person, but I don't know that I want my vice president, you know, speaking in tongues and having Jesus speak
like
to
I
him.
said before,
I don't know if I want that.
It's one thing to talk to Jesus. It's another thing when Jesus talks to you.
Exactly. Okay, well, that's different. That's different.
That's called mental illness, if I'm not correct.
But
I'm hearing voices.
You know, I told this story a long time ago, once before, but I was a judge on a journalism contest once, and I was on the phone with the other judges, and obviously was the only, this is during the Bush administration, the W. Bush administration, and obviously was the only conservative on the line. And one of them started going off on George W. Bush, saying he prayed before he went to war in Iraq or in Afghanistan. So what's the difference between him and, you know, the terrorists? Because they both pray. I mean, this is the way these guys think. And we saw this at the Democratic National Convention when they were booing God. We saw it again at the State of the Union when they sat on their hands when Trump paid tribute to God. They hate this place. They hate the way people are here. They hate the people. They hate the God. They hate the country.